What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time NBA edition. Back at it again after a fun little MLB slate earlier today. Joined again by this beautiful, handsome man. We got Taylor in the house. What's up, man? Sorry, did I make it weird right off the bat? My bad.
A little bit. I was just going to blow right through it and ignore that, but I do appreciate it.
How are things?
Not much. I enjoyed your drum solo this time more than the last time.
I feel like I'm leaning into it. Now I'm going to get more and more every time. You're getting like more aggressive drumming each and every time.
It is an odd kind of instant like end. No fade out, just abrupt. Like
it goes from like you're in it and you're feeling it to just like, oh, you're on camera. And then what do? You just keep going, I think is the move. We got Squirrel in the house as well. What's up, man? How are you?
Good. Yeah, that is a quick end to the new intro. But yeah, gotta keep us on our toes, I guess. We got a fun little NBA slate. Late start here at 7:30. This is about as little injury news as you can get for April regular season NBA.
Okay. Is that a good thing, or do we want injury news so that we can get value? Like, do we have enough value?
Yeah, there's always going to be value because there's so many guys sitting. I guess there's about as little uncertainty as you're going to get.
I got
There's still a bunch of guys that are not playing basketball.
Very nice. I am personally excited for the Houston Golden State game because that's kind of, for Houston, that's like a gotta have it game. Like if they don't win that, they're probably out of the playoffs.
I think so.
Right. Yeah,
I think they might be dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So they like, I don't know. I feel like they might run their dudes out there like, 40 plus minutes trying to win that game. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, I'm just excited we don't have baseball. There's no threat of weather. There's no stress. It's just some good old fashioned hoops. And I'm excited to talk about it. Taylor, you want to give me a rundown maybe on what we have seen? I don't know, what's happened or what we're waiting for, or you can just dive into a cash build if you'd like.
We can give an overview just to keep people apprised. There is some stuff we're waiting on. Josh Hart and Jamal Murray for DK. So DK has 5 games. That last game, Clippers Denver at 10 Eastern. FanDuel has 4. They do not have that game on. So that's a huge difference between them right off the bat because Kawhi is out for LA. So there is some value from the Clippers, potentially some from the Nuggets if Murray sits. He's missed like 5 or 6 games in a row, I think. So real chance he sits, but we don't know. Mitchell Robinson also questionable for the Knicks. Not as huge of a deal, but still something.
And you said Hart was questionable, right?
Hart, yeah. A guy projected for 41 minutes if he's in. So
right. And 15 rebounds. They need to go somewhere. Yeah.
Auto triple-double in 48 minutes. Yeah.
Right. Okay, very good. Any other news we need to know about? If not, you can dive into some a FanDuel build for us.
Kuminga is out. The cats are running all over the place and making a lot of noise. Kuminga is out. Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are expected to play. Tobias Harris is out. Not huge stuff there, but it is something to note. But yeah, I think that's about it for the news.
Okay. Great. Squirrel, anything you want to add before we dive into a cash build, or just kind of go for it?
Yes, let it rip.
Okay, cool. Taylor, what do we got here over on FanDuel?
Okay, so there's a lot to like at point guard, of course, like there usually is. Dante Exum is a value that is popping in projections for us on FanDuel. He's 4.2. He's just really cheap, and there's not, as of now, a whole lot of like punty kind of value. So I think he's okay. They're playing Atlanta. That game has, I think, the widest spread on the slate. Dallas was like an 11-point favorite, but good spot for them. I think they also have the highest total on the slate. So Exum is okay if you're looking for a cheapie. Otherwise, I think you're largely paying up. Luka's on the slate, of course, 12.5 on both sides. Looks great. It's just a matter of whether you can comfortably afford him. I don't think he's a must, certainly for cash, but you're going to feel good about it if you do get to him. I do have Brunson tagged as a core play. I just think the Knicks in general are always pretty safe from a minute standpoint. He has a 37% usage rate this season with the injured guys and the traded guys off the floor for the Knicks. So he feels quite safe. You can say the same of Van Vliet. Like we said, that game is huge for the Rockets. He's 8-5. He's not really too pricey on either side, honestly. Matchup with Golden State's fine enough. That game has a pretty tight spread too. Van Vliet's going to look good in all formats. Kyrie Irving, maybe kind of as a pivot. But I think Van Vliet is a better play for less in a cash format, at least. Miles McBride, another one, point guard only on FanDuel. The minutes for him are insane. He's playing like 45 minutes a game of late. If Hart is out, I assume he will again. Even if Hart is in, I assume he will again. So he's 6'6". It's a pure minutes play, but it's a good one. Sacramento is also a pretty good matchup. As for shooting guard, I mentioned Kuminga's out. That should make the minutes a little safer for someone like Klay Thompson. Under 6K, Golden State on the road in Houston. Not the best matchup, but they are favored, and he's under 6K. So I think he's a fine play. Keon Ellis, another one, not a good per minute guy, but the Kings are still without Monk and Herter. He's been starting. The minutes should be secure for him. He's not like super cheap, but cheap enough. A guy I think is a decent play for less is Dylan Brooks. He's kind of just a small slate, flyer filler value, guard forward eligible, easy to get to him. He's under 5K on FanDuel. I think this is the kind of slate where he's going to grade out as a pretty good play. DiVincenzo, probably a better play on DK, but another guy that's going to play 40-ish minutes every night. In theory, gets a boost if Hart sits out. So we'll see. That news should come in any moment, I would think. Moving to forward spots, Jalen Johnson and Josh Hart are two really strong mid-range plays. Obviously, Hart with the Q tag. If he's in, he's going to look great for 7.5. Jalen Johnson, priced down a little bit. Had a huge game last night. Good spot for them against Dallas. I think he's a strong kind of mid-range play if you're not paying up for someone like Luka. Pretty easy to get to him at 7.5. Jimmy Butler's fine against Philly for 8.4. I think he's okay. Cam Whitmore's another one that is going to grade out decently in projections. Probably more of a punt on DK, but he's got a role. He's been good per minute for Houston off the bench. Minutes should be around 20. I think he's okay. Power forward Trace Jackson Davis, likely to start again with Kuminga out. Power forward eligible on FanDuel, which makes him easier to get to, even though he is a bit expensive. Hart, Johnson, Butler, all playable here. PJ Washington, the role for him is solidified of late. I think he's fine, kind of as a mid-range option in all formats. Guys like Wiggins and Harrison Barnes are not exciting, but kind of the nature of the slate, I think they're fine on FanDuel. And at center, I mentioned Jackson Davis. I mentioned Washington. Daniel Gafford. He's a better value on DK, but Lively's out for the Mavs. Minutes for him should be pretty safe, I would think. And the Hawks. So it's a good matchup for the Mavs. Hartenstein, a little priced up, but if Robinson's out, I think Hartenstein's another one you can consider for FanDuel cash.
Okay. Is Gafford like the chalk of chalk with, lower price tags and the secure minutes?
Ownership, but more so on DK, I think. But yeah, he's going to still be pretty popular on FanDuel.
Yeah. Okay. Squirrel, I bring you in, and the main question you have to answer is, who is tonight's Malachi Flynn? Who's the guy who's going to break up in the slate?
Yeah, I mean, that's we wish we knew, right? The Malachi Flynn thing was like particularly aggravating because it was one of those things where Cade Cunningham was in the starting lineup, and then like 2 minutes after lock, they're like, oh, you know what? Never mind, he's not going to play. And Malachi
I didn't realize that happened. I missed that.
Yep, and so Malachi Flynn wasn't even starting, but he was then the backup point guard. And came in and poured in 50 NBA points.
Okay, so he got starters minutes because the starter only played 2 minutes, basically? Is that?
No. Like Cunningham didn't start. I forget who started. Probably Marcus Sasser.
Yeah.
But then Malachi Flynn just went berserk off the bench.
I see. Okay, I didn't even realize that there was that whole thing around it. I just thought he randomly popped off for 50 for no reason.
Yeah, there was a reason. Like absolutely nobody had him. He was probably not even expected to play at all.
Wow.
At the time that his game locked. And they just, never mind. Cade Cunningham.
That is frustrating.
Yeah, I just saw Cade Cunningham was listed out for tomorrow, and I thought that's meaningless. Like, because they do this all the time, where they'll have him in the starting lineup, doesn't play. Anywho, tournament options. Try to find that Malachi Flynn. point guard. So I guess like just to set up the slate, there's two games that, especially on FanDuel, like there's two games that I'm really interested in, which are the Atlanta and Dallas game, and then the Golden State Houston game, which is like it's like rare to find a meaningful regular season NBA game at this point in the season. But there it is in Golden State and Houston. It's like, yeah, both teams are going to be probably playing pretty big minutes. The Golden State guys in particular are well priced on FanDuel compared to DraftKings. I'm not getting a lot of them at all on DraftKings. On FanDuel, yeah, they're like too cheap, and now Jonathan Kuminga's out. So having said that, like starting a point guard, like my two favorite point guards are probably Fred VanVleet and Steph Curry for tournaments. And then I like going to like Kyrie Irving. I'm not getting as much Luka, I think, as the field, and I'm getting probably more Kyrie, which I'm okay with because like they're probably direct pivots from each other. Shooting guard, ton of Klay Thompson. He's like really well priced on FanDuel. I wrote him up as like my FanDuel specific guy today. I forgot to add that blurb to lineup HQ. I meant to from my article. Anywho, it's in the article. Really well priced on FanDuel. I like getting Moses Moody with Kuminga out. I don't think like all of that love is going to go to Trace Jackson Davis. I think some of it's going to go to Moses Moody. Going to be playing some Dylan Brooks. I don't like it, but he's just always well priced. And as soon as you don't play him, he's going to get like 8 steals in the first quarter and FanDuel bury you.
And he randomly has those like 25-point nights, and you're just like, where the hell did that come from, Dylan Brooks? Like real life points.
Yeah,
but never when I play him.
So then moving on to small forward, bring up another guy, another Rocket is Cam Whitmore. Something that's interesting about these Rockets, like Cam Whitmore got injured the same game I think that Alperen and Şengün did. It's like a lot of the Rockets, like Jalen Green, like his price has gone way up. Like Cam Whitmore's price hasn't because he wasn't playing this whole time. Şengün wasn't playing. So he's like still got the same like pre-Alperen Şengün price. That's kind of true of Fred VanVleet as well. He's priced around the same amount that he was before Şengün got injured. So now he's a bargain. So I like getting to Cam Whitmore. He's too cheap on both sites. I like getting Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson actually outscored Malachi Flynn last night from a fantasy perspective. We weren't even sure he was going to start because he just came back from like a sprained ankle, I think. But yeah, so he didn't start the first game that he came back. We weren't sure if he was going to start. He did start. And he went absolutely bananas. So I really like getting to Jalen Johnson. Like keep in mind, like he hasn't had as much like non-Trae Young time as some of the other have because of the sprained ankle. I like getting Josh Hart if he's playing. Power forward, just a bunch of Josh Hart, Jalen Johnson, getting some Trace Jackson Davis, and then some PJ Washington as well. Center, Daniel Gafford, Trace Jackson Davis, or PJ Washington. Getting a little bit of Bam Adebayo, and I'll just comment like almost all of the players I mentioned are either Golden State guys, like Dallas guys, Atlanta, or Houston. So like I'm like very focused on those two games and not so much on the other two games.
Let's say you mentioned you're getting to a lot of Hart and he's questionable. Let's say he's out. Does that boost some? I mean, obviously it's a bump to some guys, but is it enough? You're like, oh, okay, now I want more Brunson. I want more the guy who's going to play 40 freaking minutes, McBride.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have some of Brunson, McBride kind of scattered in with Josh Hart, even if Hart plays. Just because they are like probably the next most viable options outside of the Hart from the other games. But yeah, I would boost up my Jalen Brunson. Like that would change things probably a lot because that's just a lot of minutes that are missing. I think we've got an if then out there. I think the primary beneficiaries are probably Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. But I don't know that it might get split between them. Would have to see who's in the starting lineup. It might be Precious Achiuwa. I think we actually have Precious Achiuwa as a big beneficiary. And then like if Mitchell Robinson is out, Precious probably gets even more of a bump. So got to see what's going on with the Knicks, but we should have that, any minute now.
Okay. Very nice. Good stuff. Anything else you want to add here before we kick it to DK?
Nope.
Okay. We should note, by the way, never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. It's a fantastic. There's so many sports happening right now. You can get yourself a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price $469.99. That is a deal. In fact, it's a savings of $250 as compared to buying 6 individual months of combo premium, which is what a lot of people do. So you can save yourself a bunch of money. You can also give combo a test run, 3-day pass for $19.99. It's dirt cheap. For those of you looking to test the waters before diving in, make sure you check out the link in our description for more information on that deal. Now is the time. Now is the season. We had someone in here during MLB demanding that Plate IQ be free. It is not free, but for $19.99, you can have access to it for 3 days, and then maybe win enough money where you can buy the season long. Taylor, let's kick it over to DK. I think you said we're adding a game on DK. Is that right?
Yeah, we're adding Denver and the Clippers, so should be fun.
Through what we expect. We had another one ask for it to be free after the show. That's not how business works. That's not how things work. Taylor, walk me through what the game plan is here on DK.
Yeah, so obviously that other game will open up some value. I mentioned Kawhi being out again for the Clippers. We saw Norm Powell start the last game in his spot. I think he got hurt during the game, which is why his minutes were down a little bit. Someone like Brandon Boston played more than expected. Obviously, we can't expect Powell to get hurt again tonight, but we are projecting him to start again. I do have Powell tagged as a core play on DK. He's 5K flat. He's a pretty good usage guy, per minute guy. Guard forward eligible, very easy to get to him. Let's see, point guard Russell Westbrook is one. He's under 5K minutes for him. We're up a little bit in the last game. He might only play 20 to 25 off the bench, but Westbrook is still over a fantasy point per minute this season. Even if he's not prime Westbrook anymore, he's still, useful while he's out there, and he's cheap. So I think he's a pretty good play in all formats tonight. Otherwise, I mentioned Brunson, Van Vliet, fantastic plays over on DK2. Luka, if you can get to him, fine. If not, I don't think it's a must play. Obviously, he has 100 within his range of outcomes, but we do have Jokic on the DK slate too, which could complicate matters. McBride is point guard, shooting guard, so a little easier to play him on DK than it is on FanDuel, even though he's priced up. Amin Thompson, for quite a while, has been way cheaper on DK than he has been on FanDuel. That's the case again tonight. He's 6'6". He's not a must in cash. He does stand out decently enough in the price range he's in. He's also point guard, small forward, so it's easy to get to him too. Don't mind him on DK. Tim Hardaway Jr. is kind of another DK only value. He's 4K flat, another guard forward you can play. Not the safest value. I think it's more of a cash play than a tournament play, especially if the price tag leads to ownership. But he's fine if you land there, just because the pace of that game should be good and he's cheap. Let's see. DiVincenzo I mentioned on FanDuel. Cam Whitmore, guard forward on DK as well. Easy to get to him, especially as a Hardaway pivot. I think I feel better about Whitmore just because he's better per minute. Let's see. We got a Knicks lineup. Josh Hart is in it, and Hartenstein is in it. I don't know what that means for Robinson. I don't know if he's been starting, but not a big deal either way. So Hart is playable now, obviously. Yeah. Let's see where I was. Hart is only forward on DK, power forward, small forward. Obviously, a guy playing 45 minutes is always going to be in play. So I don't mind looking his way. These positions are kind of loaded, the guard forward on this slate. On DK, all the ones I mentioned, Whitmore, Hardaway, DiVincenzo, Amin Thompson, Norm Powell. There are a lot of ways to go. Klay Thompson, another one. He's also under 6K on DK. It's going to fly under the radar, I think, a little bit relative to where he'll be on FanDuel. So I think he's a decent play on DK too. Power forward Jalen Johnson is only 6'9" on DK. That's just too cheap for him in the role he's playing lately with Trae Young out. Probably a must play in cash, I would say, if you're brave enough to play cash. Trey Lyles is a punt on DK that is okay. He's only 3'6", playing 20-ish minutes off the bench, potential for more. With the Kings missing a couple of rotation bodies, I think he's fine on DK. Aaron Gordon, also with DK only play, gets a bit of a usage boost if Jamal Murray is out, but not a monster one. I think he's fine. Ditto for PJ Washington. And then at center, we're looking at Gafford again, 5'7", too cheap for the role in the matchup. Zubac under 6K also. Not a good spot against Denver, but they're going to need some size, obviously, against Jokic. So I think he has a path to kind of a cheap double-double over there. And, Hartenstein, Robinson is in, by the way, but his minutes are going to be pretty limited, I would say. I think Hartenstein under 6K is also viable on TK.
Okay. I'm not sure if you mentioned this name and I was just zoned out, but Billy Magliani says, how about Davion Mitchell? In fact, a couple people brought that name up. Who else did? Our guy Butho Jenkins also brought it up. Is that someone who you referenced or you are interested in?
No, he's playing a little more just because they're short on guards, but he projects really terribly for the dollar, even in 21 projected minutes. There are other values I think are just a lot safer than him tonight.
Squirrel, you getting any of him in tournaments?
No, yeah, he's had a couple good games. I'm not interested in that game all that much. Like it's a bad matchup playing in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. And he's a guy that just does this. Like he starts playing a few more minutes off the bench, has a couple good games, and then completely disappears for some of the other guards. So yeah, I'm not particularly interested in him.
Okay, nice. Taylor, anything else you want to add before we kick it over to more GPP thoughts?
No, I think that was it.
Wonderful. Okay, Squirrel, I guess just walk me through a whole build over there. I don't know if there's much that's all that different for you.
Yeah, so just the biggest difference, is that we have this extra game, and there is something noteworthy that Jamal Murray is questionable. Like he hasn't played in a while, so I think there's a good chance he doesn't play again. So I don't mind the idea of like boosting Jokic a little bit, and using him for tournaments on DraftKings.
But I assume that if he's been out 6 games, that it's kind of like baked into the price of Jokic and these other guys, or not? And that's not the case.
You can't like bake in that to like Jokic. I think it increases the chance that Jokic has like a stellar game.
Okay.
He's like kind of at the same Jokic price. Like he's a little bit pricier than he has been, but not that much pricier because like they can't make him.
They can't make it crazy. And now he has a greater probability of going for like the 70 fantasy point night.
Yeah, exactly.
He's out. Yeah, I guess.
So, like,
okay, that makes sense.
Yes. So I think he's gone for 77 and 78 DK points the last 2 games. So yeah, and he's still about the same price that he has been. So
okay, nice, good answer.
Then, but yeah, just like pointing out maybe some kind of big differences. Like Russell Westbrook is too cheap; he's only 4,800. He was my DraftKings guy that Klay Thompson was my FanDuel guy that really sticks out on that site. Russell Westbrook is a guy on DraftKings. I mean, he's not even available on FanDuel. He's too cheap, especially for not having Kawhi Leonard. Dante DiVincenzo is priced a little bit better on DraftKings, but for the most part, I still like getting to a lot of the same guys. Fred VanVleet, Dante Exum is a cheapie that you can use on both sites, and he's a little bit interesting because he's playing a little bit more minutes. Like he was playing like big minutes at the end of like 2023, and now his minutes went away almost completely. But now he's like almost minimum price, and he's like playing a little bit more. And this might be a good kind of game for like a Dallas guard type guy against Atlanta. Cam Whitmore, a shooting guard, is like 1,000 cheaper on DraftKings and on FanDuel, so it's almost impossible to get away from him. Getting a lot more Tim Hardaway on DraftKings. See, small forward, still like Josh Hart's. I think people may not adjust to him being in. Like some Moses Moody, like some Norman Powell in terms of like tournament guys. Power forward is still really like getting to Jalen Johnson. This is a great matchup. He had a great game last night. So like getting some PJ Washington. Don't mind giving like Aaron Gordon a little bit of a boost in case Jamal Murray is out. And then center position, Vika Zubac is not available on FanDuel, but he is available in this DraftKings slate. But then other than that, the other 2 like Dallas guys, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington. And yeah, want to probably be over the field on Jokic if you can.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Double center for you, like Gafford Jokic type build.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's like one of the top lineups that I see is like a Gafford Jokic build.
That sounds pretty tasty to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. We've got about 15 minutes here until lock. We might hang out with you all the way until lock. We might not. I don't know. We'll see how the questions go. I'm going to start. It's late. We're tired. It's been a long day. We'll see what we got, though. If you've got some good questions, we'll keep hanging out. A note that DK is apparently not showing players is out. They always suck with their tags. Like all the sites
Yeah,
are
just
always
use RG and not DK.
Yeah. So it's an important note if you're new and you don't know that they suck at that, but just know also they suck at that, and you should never trust what they show because they're often wrong. Ron says DKGPP scroll any Amir Coffee.
Yeah, you can get to a little bit of Amir Coffee. He hasn't like always been a great fantasy producer, but he is a guy showing up in about like 10% of my lineups. Like he just doesn't score a lot of fantasy points, which is the main thing we're interested in. But sometimes he does. So yeah, you can get to him if that's like where you land price wise.
Okay. Single entry GPP, is Dante Exum viable? And I assume, Taylor, you were down, and I assume you said you're okay with that value?
More so on FanDuel, I think. But yeah, I think he's okay.
Okay. Squirrel and DK GPP?
Yeah, he's still like showing up for me on DraftKings a little bit. He's not projected that well, but like if he sees a little bit more minutes, if this is more of an up pace, back and forth kind of game, then yeah, I think he's viable. Like he's super cheap, so I'd like to swing and miss cheap if I have to swing and miss.
Yeah. Okay. Showboat King says, I can assure you that I am not falling for the Dylan Brooks hook. Squirrel, you mentioned you are landing on him. You don't love it. How much Dylan Brooks do you have?
Let me look on the sites. On FanDuel, it's like 40%. He's just too cheap
40?
to get those deals. Yeah. DraftKings like less than 10.
Oof, boy. That can sink you. that can ruin your night. All right. Hopefully he has a bigger night here. What else do we got? Any Gary Payton on DK? Squirrel, I assume that's a tournament question.
I'm getting more Moses Moody. Yeah, not getting so much to Gary Payton.
Okay. We got the same question at the same time from two different people. Anthony and Ron both say, who's it going to be, Joker or Luka tonight? Taylor, you can answer from a cash perspective because I know Squirrel's thoughts, but Taylor.
Well, I think for me, it's also a Jokic night. Obviously on FanDuel, it's Luka because you can't play Jokic. On DK, I think point guard is loaded enough to where you don't have to have Luka, and Jokic is probably the guy that makes more sense in builds. So I'll side with him there too. Okay.
And Squirrel, you said, look, if the guard if Murray's out, it's definitely Jokic for you. If Murray is in, does that give you more of a lean towards Luka, or you're still a Jokic guy?
No, it's still like that would make me lean more towards Luka. I just don't think we're gonna know. So
that's
nothing you can do.
That is a problem. Okay. FanDuel question here. Two names that we liked from Scott Davies: Taylor Exum or Clay?
Certainly Clay for me if it's one or the other.
Okay. DK single entry question here: Squirrel, Clay Thompson or Wiggy?
Clay Thompson, I think.
Yeah. What do we got? DK single entry GPP: McBride or Powell? And Squirrel, again, these are two names that were mentioned here.
I'd go with McBride, even with Josh Hart.
Okay. Let's see. Embiid is a spend up center on FanDuel. How have we not talked about Embiid? Is he still minutes restricted?
Yeah, he's probably going to play 30-ish, which is enough potentially for him to get there. It's also a bad matchup against Miami. So
okay, and with the Luka and Jokic maybe being in a great spot with injury, it's just tough to get there, I guess. What else do we got? FanDuel tournament: Keegan Murray or Jabari Smith? Squirrel.
Keegan Murray or Jabari Smith? I will go with Keegan Murray.
Okay. DK single entry. This is a great question, Taylor. Do PJ Washington and Gafford correlate, or do I have to only play one of them? From Freyas.
I don't think you have to separate them, especially on a tiny slate like this. They're both going to see plenty of minutes. They're not, I wouldn't say they're positively correlated. They're probably more negatively than anything, but not to a point where I would eliminate playing them together.
Okay. Any Kyle Lowry? Squirrel in a DK GPP as a pivot off Westbrook?
No, I'm not getting Kyle Lowry.
Okay. DK GPP, large field. How many Mavs in a lineup is too many?
I probably wouldn't do 4 without running it back with an Atlanta guy.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have? Our guy Butthole Jenkins in the house. DK question for you, Taylor. Capella or Gafford?
That was cash or just whatever?
Just kind of generically said Capella or Gafford. Did not specify.
Cash Gafford, Capella tournaments.
Okay. DK single entry question. Whitmore or THJ? I feel like we didn't really bring up THJ much, did we, Squirrel?
Well, he's much better priced on DraftKings than on FanDuel. Having said that, and they are about the same price, I like Cam Whitmore a lot more. I think there's a lot more like room for growth there with Whitmore.
Okay. Let's see what else we've got here. DK cash question. Joker Hardaway or Luka Lyles, Taylor?
Joker Hardaway, Luka Lyles.
Yep.
I'll say Jokic Hardaway.
Okay. DK single entry, just PJ Wash. Oh, okay, we got that one already. Thoughts on Nick Bogdanovich and Trey Lyles in a large field GPP using 2 over 10K players, and he needs the salary relief, Squirrel. So Nick Bogdan and Trey Lyles. Is Nick Bogdanovich out with Hart in?
He's not going to project that well. Trey Lyles is always okay. You can do that. It's super risky, but I think it's okay. Like if the idea is you're spending up, So what you care about is do the 10K guys do well, and then you get a decent game from like Bogdanovich and Trey Lyles.
Yeah. Okay. So not crazy. FanDuel cash question, Taylor. This is a 3v3. Luka, Barnes, Exum, or Brunson, Ellis, Van Vliet?
Second one.
Any must plays in cash for Yahoo? That's how he did it, just like that. So, did you look at cat? Or are you just gonna do it kind of based on FanDuel, as those prices are similar?
I did tag some people on FanDuel. I'm stalling because I don't remember who, and I'm pulling it up right now. Let's see. I have Brunson and McBride. McBride's still really cheap on Yahoo. I wouldn't say Brunson's a must, but McBride probably is.
Okay. We'll go to Ruthless Villain on DK. Squirrel, Van Vliet or Harden?
On DK?
Yes.
I would go Van Vliet.
Okay. Luka or Joker in DK cash? You're both leaning towards the Joker in that scenario here. Yep. Sometimes you got to risk it for the biscuit. Yeah, that's a fact. Is Dante Jones FanDuel GPP viable?
Dante Jones from the mid-aughts Cleveland Cavaliers?
I suppose. I don't know.
He is likely not viable.
Probably Derek Jones.
Derek Jones?
Yeah. I don't think so. No, he projects quite poorly, and the minutes are pretty uncertain for him.
Okay. A. Dean says max 1 of Luka and Kyrie. Squirrel, can you get them both? You got to run it back if so, right?
Yeah, I would run it back if you're using both of them. They're probably a little negatively correlated.
Okay. All right. We got a Who Mike Jones reference, which always makes me happy. That was growing up. That was my heyday. Oh, Mike Jones. FanDuel Cash 3v3. Taylor, Moody, DJJ, and Bam, or Brooks Batum Hart?
Brooks Batum Hart is quite a bit safer, I think, for cash.
Who the hell is DJJ?
Derek Jones Jr.
Oh, okay. All right.
Our boy Dante Derek Jones Jr.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. DK GPP, Clay and Curry okay together, Squirrel?
In DK, the Golden State guys are not priced as well on DraftKings. I probably would not play them together.
Okay. Batum is starting tonight. Is he a play on DK?
Let's see.
This is what I'm seeing just in the chat, by the way.
Not really. I mean, you can, if you land on that price, he's going to project okay, but I'm not going out of my way to get him.
Okay. Is Embiid worth a play? We talked about that. It's probably not really. Squirrel, how much Embiid do you have, Squirrel?
0.
Yeah. I don't know. There's other good spend ups that are going to play the minutes. It's just
It's more viable on FanDuel just because you don't have Jokic, but it seems quite thin. But it is a 4-game slate, so never know.
That's true. All right. I think this might be our last question of the night here. DKGPP, favorite shooting guard or forward, 4,800 or lower, not named Cam Whitmore. Squirrel, DKGPP, shooting guard or forward, 4,800 or lower, not Cam Whitmore. Those are a lot to that.
48. Brandon Podziemski, shooting guard.
Pods.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. With that, I think we're going to bounce on out of here a couple minutes before lock. It's a late show. I got to feed my family, get on out of here, and watch some hoops as well. So for Squirrel, last question: Hartenstein or Gafford, FanDuel GPP? Squirrel.
Go Gafford.
Yeah, go Gafford. Gafford's the move there. For Squirrel and for Taylor, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been